What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about quick jacks. More specifically, we're going to talk about how long it takes to actually set up your quick jacks and what tools are needed. I've watched some other tutorials and they show you a wide span of tools and wrenches and things you need. In reality, you need a simple open-ended wrench, 18 mil open. I would recommend a 3/16 Allen. It makes life way easier, which we'll show you in a little bit. Also a 13 mil, and this is just for helping to remove some of the plugs. It just makes life easy. And then also a 7/32 Allen key. So honestly, these are the only tools that are needed to get your quick jack set up and your car up in the air. On top of that, the kit does not include the ATF or hydraulic fluid. So I just use standard ATF. I figured it's not going to see a lot of abuse. I bought 2 quarts, it was 2.1, I had a little bit extra laying around, no issues there. Also, you can use a bike pump. I used a small little compressor, and that's literally just to help fill up the actual system. And also pipe thread, so they have a tape sealant for that. With that being said, these are the tools that you need. And truthfully, about an hour and a half. So give yourself some time to unbox them, take them apart and kind of lay them out. You're going to spend more time literally just taking the things out of the boxes than you are really doing the setup. So with that being said, let's kind of start with the actual jacks themselves and what we have to do to get the car up in the air. Alright guys, so first things first, the actual jack stands are going to be laid flat, of course, when you do receive them. But what you're going to do is remove the plug on the outside of the cylinder right here. When you remove that plug, use a 7/32 Allen key and it'll come out. There will be a little bit of fluid that comes out with it, so make sure you always have a rag handy during this whole process. Then, the easiest thing to do is you'll have a couple little 90-degree elbows. You take those 90-degree elbows, you tighten them up, and also you put some thread sealant on the outside of that 90-degree elbow. Then you'll attach the smaller lines, as you can see, to the outside of that line, and you'll route them underneath the jack on the inside of this yellow and black decal right here. So, with that being said, we'll take this in. You actually take the next fitting, and you'll basically just go ahead and put that right onto the end of that hose. That hose then is done. This jack is done as far as that part of the process. So you can go on the other side, repeat the exact same process. It's very simple. Okay, so the jack is ready to go at this point. The hoses are connected up to it. This is the secondary line that we're going to look at. And when you receive these large fittings will not be on them. So simply put some thread sealant on it, tighten them up, and you're ready to go. You'll do one for the driver's side and one for the passenger side. Okay everyone, so you now have the secondary hoses assembled. You have the jack stands ready to go. And you're onto the pump housing. When this arrives, you'll take your 13mm wrench and you'll remove these 2 small caps. They are located, of course, there's 1 and 2 right here in the center of the assembly. Of course, when you're putting the valves in, make sure you do the bottom one first. It allows room to actually torque it tight to the body. Once you're done with that, grab your ATF fluid. It's 2.1, or they say about a ½ inch below the top of the reservoir. So put 2.1 quarts in there. And when you're done, make sure you open this up prior to use. If not, it'll actually create a vacuum and actually cause this to buckle in when you actually are pumping the fluid into the system. With that being said, this is ready to go. All right, everyone, we are now back down here at the actual jacks themselves. So at this part of the game, you have the jack ready to go. You have the secondary lines ready to go into the pump. You have the pump housing ready to go. There is fluid in. We're getting really close to being able to actually use these jacks and put the car up into the air. The first thing you want to do is make sure you check the air pressure inside of this cylinder right here. That is the reason for the for the pump, sorry, and they're stating you're supposed to be between 40 to 50 PSI. My one was actually above 70 when I opened it up, which was a little hairy. So I'm not sure what that was about. The other side, of course, was right at the factory recommendation. So once you do that, pump it up or lower it. I will tell you, they pump up very, very quickly. So even with a bike pump, be careful when you're doing these. Once you're done with that, and you go back to the system, what you're going to do is you're actually going to cycle the system up and down a few times. And we're actually going to do that in order to bleed all the air out of these lines. Because as you know right now, there's air inside this line and all the secondary lines that you just pre-assembled. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to take the pump, We'll hook it all up, and we're actually gonna cycle this up and down a few times with no weight on the car, or on the jack itself. So please keep in mind, do that before you get the car up in the air. I went through and actually just wanted to kind of test everything out for myself before just trying to do a video and then second guessing myself the whole way through. So with that being said, when you're doing that and bleeding out these lines, make sure, this is where this handy dandy little tool comes in handy, and the reason being is because of space. There's not a whole lot of space to get into the end of this, and make sure you have a rag because it will spew out ATF fluid into this little tray right here. So with that being said, take your jack stands, plug them in, and cycle them up and down a few times. You'll watch them, they'll be kind of jerky at first and they're not going to be quite even, but as you do it a few times and then bleed these guys out and get all the air out of the system, they should flow up and down very, very smoothly. Alright guys, truthfully that's about it before you go ahead and get your car put up in the air. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how this works a couple times and how easily it goes up and down, but besides that, it's a pretty quick and easy install, and I will tell you why these things are so great on the next video when we get into actually what we're going to be doing with C6. Thanks for watching.